What is up, KKRC fans? All about three of you. No, I'm joking, guys. But for the ones that are watching this video, I want to talk about this shock tower here. Now, anybody that's been following any of the Arma upgrades and stuff for a while, everyone knows when they see this who it came from, who made it, and the reasons why they made it. So I'm not going to get into all of the specifics on the shock tower because that's an obvious thing you can look up. But the brand that this shock tower is Basherqueen, and everyone should know that because she's the only one that really makes the carbon fiber stuff for these Outcast / Notorious 6S's. There are some other companies that make, I think, the shock towers or something like that for the Typhoon, some of the other stuff, but I forget their names. But she's like the biggest one that makes the carbon fiber stuff. But I'm kind of wondering what the heck happened here. Now, I did land on the lid, on the rear. Yes, that's a given. That's the reason why this bent. And you can see the telltale signs of what happened with the mud stuck in that hole, a little bit of mud here. There's still some grass blades on here. So I'll get over to the reason why, and that stuff's on there is because right over here, that's where I jump my truck. I land it in the grass for a reason. Because it's softer. It's always watered, obviously, because, well, if it wasn't, there wouldn't be green. But when you launch it, and we were starting from about back there, come right here, and we hit our plastic ramps here, skateboard ramps, whew, and we launch it, and we'd land somewhere over there. Now, it could be from here to there, but usually it's in that vicinity. I have some irrigation issues now because of landing in the grass and popping out two of my sprinklers. But anyway, that's where I jump. That's where we land, and we like it because it's soft. It makes for a better landing in case you screw up and you don't land on your tires. And it's basically what happened in this case right here. So I believe it's a design flaw, and it's nothing against Basherqueen's brand here or their design of what or how they wanted to use a different type of material. Because this would have happened to an aluminum, well, not this, but an aluminum like this, even the EXBs would have probably bent right here because there's nothing bracing up top up here. The nearest brace is this tower-to-tower brace, which is down below. I mean, this, there's a lot of leverage and a lot of weight on this thing that's pushed on this. Ultimately, that's the reason why this snapped. Now, I have like one big question here, and I don't know if anyone's going to be able to answer this, is why the heck are these holes here? Now, I don't know if omitting those holes would really actually do anything, but you can kind of see that's where the weak spot is, It's right here at the edge of the top of the bulkhead, and you got these holes here for, I don't know what the reason is. They're on my son's 6S too. It's great in 6S. I mean, look at that. Nothing's attached to them. So I'm not sure what they're for. I don't know if it's a universal thing, so it can fit multiple vehicles. But I mean, this is a Notorious / Outcast. That is a Creighton. I don't see anything hooked up on these things that would. I don't know. I might just be just really talking out loud here, and might be something that can be done or hooked up on there. And they're obviously there for a reason, but I don't see anything bolted to anything, and I wish there was something different there. I wish that hole could be omitted, and we wouldn't be talking about this. Another thing that I do see that as far as the design flaws is, well, first is obviously the lack of any bracketry and braces on the top here. And these are pretty thin. Basherqueen, she followed the same exact, I think, thickness as the EXBs. But and if you want to go M2C, like the chassis I have here, they make some super thick ones. Hot Racing makes some super thick ones, and I don't think it would bend, but then you're adding all that extra weight. And that brings me to my next issue here is the chassis slap I get with this truck. It's ridiculous. Now, I have my shocks, obviously this is, they're disconnected here from the shock tower because eventually I'm getting this in the mail here pretty soon. She did warranty it out. I contacted her the day it happened, and she's going to warranty it out. It's a 1-year warranty for any damages. There is like this seal, like this little symbol she has. This is lifetime warranty, but I don't know I think it's if there's like a design issue. But if you bash it, and break it like this, there's only 1 year. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously that's what you're going to do with these trucks, so I don't know what the difference is there. But anyway, she warranty that. I had to pay $1 for the warranty thing, and then shipping is costs like $6. It's cheaper than buying another one for 35. But if the next one breaks, I'm going to try something different, and it's just because that's my personal experience. So, whatever you want to do, if it works for you, great. But I don't know. We'll find out with the next one. And it was my fault. I do have to say it was my fault landing on the rear here. But I think it shouldn't happen. So the design flaw here, where we're talking about with this rear shock tower, I believe it's too tall. Now you can always get taller posts and all that stuff, and do that thing to hold your body on. Just because this is for the Notorious / Outcast body, you can have them super sunk down like that for the Creighton. But the Creighton Success shock tower is exactly the same. And I believe that these, no matter what the vehicle is, should be a little bit shorter. The shock tower should be shorter. Nothing bracing it right here. You bring the leverage down. You have a less of chance of it snapping now. And so if you were to bring that down, it would be great. And that just leads me again into the chassis slap issue. So see my droop here I have with these rear control arms? This is where they should be. In my mind, this is where the droop should be. These shocks should be mounted a little bit lower than, and I've tried both those holes. Obviously, you can see it doesn't make a difference. It's just when you come out at that angle, it doesn't make any difference of your droop. It's just how the car handles. But in my mind, they should be mounted a little bit lower, and so you can get a little bit more droop out of these. I mean, look at the front. The front droops a lot more than the rear. That's because the shock tower is shorter. Granted, the shocks are shorter, but there's something I think that could be done with this rear shock tower, a redesign of it. And I'll just hook up this shock real quick. Let me try to do this one-handed. Yeah. And just get it in place so you can see the difference here. Look at the difference. Now, obviously, that's not going to be reality. You're not going to have that shock that low because you're going to max out your shock internally before your chassis hits the ground. My point is, if you were to lower this shock tower just slightly, find the all angles, do all the math and everything like that, so we have full compression without it hitting the blasting the cap out pretty much with the piston, and then the droop we can always mitigate with the droop screws. There's no need for droop screws in the rear here, because if you did that, then you're just going to bring this arm up even further. I can't compress it with my hand now because the shock's on there, but then you only have the distance from the bottom of the tire to the chassis. That's all the travel you have. That's all the up travel you have. And there's more to go. I think there's like another half an inch or more. Once you're fully compressed, you hit the ground, you can compress this up even further. So take advantage of that extra travel you have on the up travel. You're going to hit your chassis first before you max out your shock. So bring that within range, but right before it maxes out on your shock. And I think this would be a lot better vehicle to drive. The chassis wouldn't be slamming on the ground as much. I've tried to mitigate it as best I could. I changed the shock oil out. I went to thicker oil. I forget what weight I'm running right now because I've done so many different experiments. I'm running the Techno Oranges. They seem to be doing a little bit better, even though they seem not as stiff as stock. So here's the stock springs right here. And if you had these both in your hands and you were compressing them, your stock one feels stiffer. The crazy thing is these are slightly thicker than the material is actually slightly thicker on the Technos than they are on the stocks. And the stocks just seem stiffer. But when I put these on in the same setting where the collar's at, it didn't bottom out as much. It didn't chassis slap as hard when I dropped it from waist high. So I'm not sure the magic that's going on there, but I have my shock tower here from the front of my son's 6S Creighton. I'll talk about in another video. But if you just kind of look at these, I mean, I believe if you were to just have this right here, like that, and kind of go off the front shock tower design, obviously have a straight top here or a flat top, and allow enough for the wing mounts to come through, just enough. I mean, you don't need that huge gap here. There's nothing going in there. stick my whole finger in there. You can take that gap, lower that gap down a little bit, in my mind, and then you have a little bit lower mounting point for your shocks, and you get a little bit more of that droop. So anybody knows that droop down travel is very essential when it comes to jumping and stuff like that. It keeps everything level, keeps everything controlled. Because if you have like no down travel, you see look at the Baja and you look at some of the Baja bug class. I forget what class that is, but it's like basically stock suspension and everything. Those things are bouncing all over the place. Then you take a trophy truck, and then you look at the droop, and you look at this crazy amount of droop you have going on in the rear, and that's the reason why these Baja Rays and stuff, they jump so smooth and they jump so flat, is because of that. Now I understand this is like a stunt truck, and essentially, you know, and then the Creightons are more of your jumpers. But even the 6S Creighton, where the heck is my down travel? Look at the down travel on my ADIS. That's a lot more. So I just don't know. I might be wrong about this. These things have been out for a while and people have been blasting them and jumping them stuff for a long time. I just think that if the rear shock tower was redesigned slightly, we can eliminate a lot of that crazy slappy chassis slap. And I forget the YouTuber's handle, but he was saying he was ruining ESCs and stuff because of the amount of chassis slap was so great. He wasn't ruining his chassis or anything. Everything held together. He was ruining electronics because of the amount of shock they took. That shock that got transferred, all that energy got transferred here, boom, it doesn't matter what type of little rubber grommets and stuff you put to get the ESC from taking a lot of that energy into it. It was ruining his electronics, ruining his fans, all kinds of stuff. So we eliminate a little bit of chassis slap by bringing the rear travel down a little bit. Let that shock start absorbing as it's going up, the progressive spring rate and all that stuff. Then, we have more travel to soak up in the upstroke. Also, we would eliminate maybe some of these rear shock towers from bending / cracking like this, because now you have less material, less height, less leverage put on that when you land on the rear like that. Now, I understand if you had the wing like you're supposed to, it would have hit the wing, it would have transferred the energy into this and then to this tower here. But even if you say with the wing on it, and you were to land, say right, bam, like that, you're still going to take a lot of that hit onto the top of the shock tower, which in my mind, I think it should be different. It should be a different design. So definitely not bashing, no pun intended, this company that makes this, the individual that made this product. The thought process was there, lighter, just as strong as steel type of deal. So that's what carbon fiber is really for. That's why they're on race cars and stuff like that, because it has good rigidity, but then you're susceptible to snappage like that. So again, if this doesn't work out for me, the replacement, then more than likely I will be going M2C or hot racing for the shock tower in the rear at least, and hopefully that saves the day. Might do like the wheelie bar or something coming out the back here, something to maybe help out. But in my mind, poor design all around as far as down travel goes, and the leverage that it took to break this. But all around, I'm don't get me wrong, I'm very impressed with the truck. It took a beating, a crazy beating. I was giving it a good amount, and it held together for the most part. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I know this is a super long video, but kind of want to go over some of the, in my mind, the flaws with this design, and I'll see if I can maybe create something myself. I don't know. Maybe modify one of these front ones to fit in the rear and see how it works out for me. But all right. Anyway, thanks again for watching, guys. Catch you in the next one. Later.